We're happy to have with us a foreign policy journalist and investigative reporter, a documentarian. She has been on the ground in Palestine, Korea, Venezuela, and Honduras, and you can find her work at The Gray Zone. She's Anya Parampal. Well, hi, Anya. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, Jimmy. Nice to be with you.
All right. So I appreciate you being here because I want to cover this. They went through with it. So Anna Kasparian threatened to blackmail me because we've been criticizing this show in The Gray Zone and has been criticizing their horrible journalism. And I've been also exposing their smearing of Julian Assange and their shady business practices, you know, where they tell people, send us money and we'll get you the $2,000 check, all that stuff, right? So I've been exposing that. And well, here, let me just show you this. This is how it all started with The Gray Zone and Aaron Mate.
And I don't know what to say.
They said Aaron Mate yelled at me. And so
Aaron Mate lied. Aaron Mate. Everyone cares what Aaron Mate has to say, right?
Okay.
The guy who denies that Syrian children were killed with chemical attacks. Yeah.
And
fuck
gets
Aaron
paid by
Mate.
the-
Yeah, fuck you.
Gets
Anyway,
paid
let's
by the
move on.
Russians.
Let's end the freaking pod. I can't.
Okay, see, that's what happened.
I can't stand that guy, and I can't stand the very intentional disinformation they put out there in regard to disgusting dictators around the world. The very people they seem to be working for, to be quite honest with you. Let's move on.
All right, we're done.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
But if Aaron Mate feels really warm in his Russian blanket, he's like, oh, but the Russian government favors me. He should be super proud of that. Way to go, Aaron. You did it. Okay.
Yeah.
And
fuck
gets
Aaron
paid by
Mate.
the...
Yeah, fuck you.
Gets
Anyway,
paid
let's
by the
move on.
Russians.
Let's end the...
She's a real shrinking violet. So anyway, she's a self-pitying mean girl, and now she's falsely accusing me of something that didn't happen. So she sent me this DM. The last time she DM'd me was in April of 2016, watching you guys kick ass right now. Isn't that nice? She used to love our kick-ass show. So then she sent me this. She goes, I'm sure you remember when you constantly made inappropriate comments about how sexy you found me at work. Never happened. And even felt the need to ask me where I shop for my jeans so you can buy a pair for your wife. That sounds like a real scandal. Hey, where do you get those jeans? I would like to get a pair for my wife. Oh, this guy's sexually harassing me. Why are you harassing me? She said, that was followed by an apology card you wrote me for the degrading harassment I've been holding back. I've been holding back, letting you run your mouth nonstop as if you're some sort of warrior for what's good in the world. That's going to change. So what she's doing is she's threatening to blackmail me because I keep criticizing her journalism. So she didn't answer back with her journalism and defending her journalism. She said, I'm going to blackmail you. That's what they did. And they think that works. And the story she's referring to, what I gave her an apology card for, was I made a joke. I apologized for a joke. Now, I told you guys this last Friday. Anna, we always wear very short, revealing things, and I never said anything. And one day was super, to the point where she bent over in the middle of the studio and exposed herself. She exposed herself to the whole newsroom. And everybody's like, and I said, hey, Anna, nice news skirt. And everybody laughed, and they laughed a little too hard. So hard that she got embarrassed. And I was like, oh, like she got, it was like a little, and I was like, oh, shit. I didn't want to embarrass her that badly. So I felt badly. And she tried to insult me back, called me old man pants or whatever. I had to figure what she said. But it fell flat. And she was really embarrassed, right? So I wrote her a card the next day. And I said, hey, look, you don't ever have to worry about that happening again. I feel sorry for you. That was inappropriate of me. And don't have to worry about that again. So, and I gave her a gift. And she said, no, Jimmy, you don't have to worry about that. And she's like, oh, get out of here like that. She just said like that. Oh, get out of here. Like a friend. Because we were friends back then. She said, oh, get out of here. And that was it. And she took the gift I gave her. And that was it. She had forgiven me. And for my joke, not my harassment, a joke I made when she exposed herself. Now, Jen Huger's running around saying I was looking up her skirt, which I guess is a creepy way to say it. That's not what happened. Anna Kasparian wore a thing that was so short that when she bent over, she exposed herself. And I made a joke. And then I apologized for it. That already happened. That's over. So now she's pretending, now she's making up stuff that I was always sexually harassing her. and she just never told anybody. She's never told anybody. She's the executive producer of the show, and she's claiming she knows somebody is a harasser, but she doesn't do anything about it. Doesn't tell anybody, doesn't do anything, doesn't warn anybody, doesn't do nothing.
Continues to book you.
Continues to book me on the show. So, and now they're trying to pretend that they're holier than thou, right? Like that. It was so, I was disgusted. So, if you know anything about the Young Turks, they were trying to be Howard Stern so bad, they were actually offensive to women. Do you want to see something that's actually offensive to women? Here's a segment they used to do all the time. They've scrubbed it now from the internet because Cenk ran for Congress, but this was a regular part of their show. Anna used to produce it and host it, and it was called Who's Camel Toe? So watch this.
I'd like to begin the entertainment segment by asking you to identify the camel toe.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we have obtained a photo of a celebrity's camel toe. It is a close-up, so I'm off the kids if they've never seen a gine. Let's go to the picture.
Gine.
Let's do a little close.
So they take a picture of a random celebrity, and then who's wearing tights or something, and then they start zooming in. Watch this.
Up. Who's camel toe?
Oh, for the love of God.
Take a while to guess.
All right, bring me back to the non-close-up. I've had enough with the close-up.
Because that's body shaming.
Interesting. Who is?
He's had enough of the close-up,
He's had
so he has
enough
to
of the
body shame.
that woman's vagina. That's what Cenk is saying.
That? Huh. Okay, I got it. I don't even know what sexy is. What is that?
It's like saying sexy.
Oh, sexy. Okay, I got you. She seems to be a brunette from what I can see.
Pay attention to the surroundings.
Dance studio. Mm-hmm. She's got wide hips. Is she on Dancing with the Stars? All right. Is she on Dancing with the Stars?
This is a segment. This is
I
a
don't know
news
who's
segment.
on Dancing with the Stars.
It's right at the tip of your tongue, and you don't even know it.
I know, except I don't know who's on Dancing with the Stars. You
have to make a wild guess before.
Damn it! I don't know. I'll go Shannon Doherty.
Okay, Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian's camel toe.
Huh, that's interesting. Let me check
Not
that out.
only
again.
does she have rear, she has front butt as well.
Oh, of course. She's the one with the wide hips. Of course! Oh.
And she is on this season's Dancing with the Stars.
Now, Cenk called me every name in the book, and so did Anna, called me every name in the book yesterday, saying that I was a pervert, and I was looking up women's skirts, which that's not. Anna bent over and exposed herself. And that's the kind of thing they did on the regular. Now, they've scrubbed the rest of them. I had to catch that from someone's tweet from a while ago. So this is them pretending now to be Margaret Dumont and be outraged. I never. Watch this.
So I want to be clear about something. I love our members, but I want to be clear about who we are and the kind of audience we want to foster, because this isn't just about building an audience, it's about building a movement. We want fighters beside us, and we want people who have the right ethics and morals to do this with us, right? If you watch that and you think there wasn't a big deal, I think that was totally fine. I don't want you in our audience.
She's talking about the story I just told you about her bending over in the studio and exposing herself, and me making that joke, hey, Anna, nice news skirt. That's all. That was it. She's saying if you could watch him tell that story, don't watch my show. That's what she's saying. Watch it.
You are not part of what we're trying to do, because I don't want that toxicity. I don't want that culture as part of anything we do at TYT, whether it's internal in the office or external with our audience.
They're doing that on camera. They're doing that. Who's camel toe on That's not what they're doing at the cafeteria before they do their news show. That's what they're doing on camera. Imagine what they're doing behind camera. I can tell you, it gets worse. Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so she's worried about the culture. She doesn't want anything to do with my story of making a joke when she bent over and exposed herself in the newsroom. And then I apologized for making the joke because she felt so bad, and I even gave her a card and a gift, and she forgave me. And that was that. But now she's weaponizing it. Now she's weaponizing a solid I did for giving her a card and apologizing so she felt comfortable, even no matter how she dressed at work, that I would never, ever say anything about it again. Now she's weaponizing it and trying to pretend like she's a Margaret Dumont who's, super offended. And she kept it to herself, by the way. I was always bothering her, but she never told anybody, even though she's the executive producer of the show. Now watch this. Here's the Young Turks. Talk about a toxic culture. Here we go.
She was out having sushi with her father in LA, and as she was getting out of a car, the exact same thing happened that's happened a million times before. She wasn't wearing any underwear, and we got a little crotch shot.
All right.
So now that's a woman getting out of a car. Someone takes a picture up her skirt. She doesn't want it. The Young Turks feature it. Talk about looking up someone's skirt. This is just, but it gets way worse. Watch this.
Here's the thing, right? I suppose we'll put the crotch jump up on the Young Turks.com, right?
So he's going to put the crotch shot up on TYT.com so you could see it uncensored. I'm going to say that again. He's going to put a picture that someone took up a woman's skirt of her naked vagina, and he's going to put it up at his website so you can go see it without it blurred out for clicks. I don't know what you call that, but that's pornography. Cenk's a literal pornographer. He's putting up naked pictures of women, unwanted photos that were taken up their skirt. Cenk is putting them up at his website and telling his viewers to go look at it for clicks. That's literally a pornographer. Okay, so let's watch this segment.
I had to block that one out there. But you have got to put on underwear. You've got to. My God, girl, you're going to dinner with your dad. And you got your cooch all exposed. That's sick. That's crazy. I can't imagine that we go to a family dinner, and my sister's got a short skirt on with no underwear, and people are constantly taking shots of her at this angle, and she still has no underwear. I mean, I wouldn't allow it, man.
Right.
You know, I'm the most liberal guy in the world, and I'd be like, no, bitch, get your shit straightened out, okay? You are not to go outside the house anymore without panties on.
Right. I totally agree with you. At the same time, I want to give her credit for something.
Oh, you do? Fascinating.
I do. Unfortunately, we're not able to see it on YouTube, but if you go on our website, theyoungturks.com, you can see it.
So she just said it. You can't see it on our website. I mean, at YouTube, but go to our website and we're going to show you the unblurred version of her vagina. A picture taken up her skirt that she didn't want taken. And now they're sharing it on their website for clicks. I'm pretty sure that's called pornography. Here we go.
Uncensored. And a point that I want to make about it is, for somebody who seems like she hasn't really been taking care of herself for a while, she is perfectly, perfectly hairless.
Oh,
I know that's an odd point to make, but I mean, could you imagine if she didn't groom herself and she didn't wear any underwear?
Whatever. Put up the censored picture here, Jesus. Okay? She looks beat. I don't care if she doesn't have any hair down there. She looks terrible. Her legs are like fatty and creamy and pale and disgusting. And then her hair is screwed up and her face looks bad. She looks so bad there that I wouldn't even do her.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Holy shit.
That's the Young Turks. That's the environment. Those are the two executive producers of the Young Turks. That's the environment they fostered at the Young Turks, not Jimmy Dore. Gets worse. Gets worse.
Yeah, but there's something weird about the way her cooch looks.
It is. I know. It feels like, you know what it is? It looks like an old cooch.
It does look like an old cooch.
Yeah. All right. So, Anna, is there some psychological thing behind this? Or is she just so drunk she doesn't realize she doesn't have panties on and just opens up her legs like this in front of the cameras?
I don't think it's a psychological thing at all. I mean, first of all, if you're going to wear a short skirt or a short dress without underwear, you're an idiot. Like, that's just stupid. You know what I mean? And nobody wants to see your coochie, girl. Close those legs.
My guess is actually a lot of people want to see her coochie, unfortunately.
It's nasty.
You think it's nasty?
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's questionable. I'm telling you.
No,
it's questionable.
So when someone else exposes themselves accidentally, It's their fault, according to the Young Turks. It's their fault. Girl, wear some thing. Girl, do this. Girl, work. He called her a bitch.
I'll say that.
But when Anna does the exact same thing and exposes herself in the middle of a newsroom, it's everybody else's fault. Let me bring in Anya. Anya, are you shocked by any of that? Because
I don't know if you actually had the camera rolling while you were playing the clip, but I was. Because here's the thing. I've read Cenk's misogynist comments, the ones that media have dug up, and we can get into that later. And I thought it was unfair when they were smearing him at the time, but nothing compared to that. Also, I bet you he would do her.
But did you see the tirade that they've been going on, this moralistic tirade that
so
somehow there's
it.
no room in the movement for things like that?
Well, exactly, Jimmy. That's why I wanted to talk today. And honestly, I was surprised by the level of gutter commentary they reached in that segment you just played because I hadn't seen it before. Then on the other hand, and Anna, as a woman going along with that, I should be like stepping back for a second and scratching my head. How could a woman actually make these comments about another woman with a male host? On the other hand, she's already an Armenian woman working for a network called The Young Turks, which is honestly the first time I ever heard about The Young Turks, I was scratching my head because I was remembering my 10th grade world history curriculum when they taught me that the Young Turks actually waged a genocide against Armenian people. So I always was like, why did you guys pick that as your name? And how is an Armenian woman working for this network? But then when you hear what Anna is willing to go along with in terms of making commentary about a woman's body, her actual vagina, which is insane,
And
I'm not surprised. And it's honestly sad because I guess she, for some reason, felt pressured to go along with that commentary for her career for one reason or another. And yet here she is.
I don't know if she felt pressed. That's her segment. That she would do the second hour. She would curate the stories. That's her segment.
Crazy.
She wasn't pressured to do that. That was what she did.
I mean, that's
why her and Cenk are such a perfect fit. She did that stuff. Cenk did that stuff. That's who they were. They're the ones who fostered that environment. I didn't do that. That was them. Let's go moving forward a little bit more. Here we go.
That's your big hero right there.
So he's talking about me because they showed me tell that story about Anna exposing herself in the newsroom and me making a joke about it. And he's upset that I told that story. And this is what he says.
That's your big hero right there that does that to women, looks up their skirt and then laughs at them and then pretends it's their fault that he's looking up their skirt. Now, parts of the story that aren't true. Of course, Anna wasn't wearing a skirt that short.
Of course she was.
Of course, nobody else saw. That pervert was trying to desperately look. That's why he made apparently several comments about her body before. And by the way, who was in the room? Anna was teaching at the time.
Which is why
in the fucking studio.
Anna had her students observing in the studio, which is why I thought it was extra crazy that she was dressed that way and exposing herself. That was extra crazy. And that's why when I made the joke, everybody laughed.
She had brought in her student.
And by the way, I've again already apologized to her for it, even though, you know, and I said, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to make a comment about you. Do whatever you want at work, and you don't have to worry about it. And please accept my apologies. And she did. And now she's weaponizing this story and pretending it happened all the time.
7 years later.
7 years later, she's saying, and now she's pretending it happened. It happened all the time. Why wouldn't you tell us to get rid of me? I'm over there harassing people. You're the producer of the show and you keep booking me? None of this makes any sense. So what they've revealed, though, is that this is retaliation for me and Aaron and the Gray Zone debunking their bad reporting on Syria and for me reporting on their shady business practices and for me pointing out that Cenk was running interference for Forced to Vote. That's what this is all about. They admitted it. Cenk's going to admit it in a minute, that that's what this is about. And then you saw the phoniness about how Anna's like, we don't want any of this toxic culture. And of course, they're the ones doing it the worst. They're putting up naked pictures of people's vaginas that were photographed up their skirt. He's putting it on his website for money so people go click on it. That's the definition of a pornographer. But listen to how so now their boat is sinking because we've been telling people who they really are. And this is all they got left. That's it. That's the last bullet they got in their gun. They're going to go pretend smear Jimmy Dore, #MeToo. It's not going to work. It's not working. That's because you already tipped your hand when you tried to blackmail me. You showed me you're going to do this because I'm running my mouth, not because you were offended or because you want to save other women from me. That never came up. I want to save other women because he's going to do this to other women. That never did it. This is just this is a made up thing to get back at Jimmy Dore for exposing them. And they've already proved they'll smear anybody. They just said Aaron Monte got paid by the Russians. He's working for. That's their go-to. They smeared Julian Assange that way. They said he was a Trumper. So they
said he was a rapist.
And what's that?
It was an orchestrated effort to smear him, Assange.
Yeah.
It was using the same tactic.
Yes.
Using a woman who'd actually worked in Cuba for the CIA to claim that Assange raped her when they had consensual sex. And notice also in that interview with Patrick Hillsman, they tried to throw WikiLeaks under the bus.
Yes, they did that again yesterday.
They were like, they were trying to offer money. Aaron already debunked that in the previous segment. So I'll let you continue with what you want to say.
Okay. Well, it's just hilarious to watch their pretend moralizing. That must have taken an acting class.
Her college students here. No, they did not laugh out loud.
Yes, they did.
Jimmy, in his own mind, thinks it's hilarious to be a pervert sexual harasser like that, and thinks, all the kids will love that. It'll be such a funny joke as I try to humiliate their professor in front of them.
Yeah.
How would that humiliate her if no one laughed? If I said, hey, Anna, nice new skirt, and no one laughed, why would that humiliate her? That doesn't make sense? So if no one laughed, why would she care? If no one noticed, why would she care? Of course everyone laughed, and of course that's why she got humiliated, because she exposed herself, and I made that joke, and then I apologized for making a joke, not for harassing her. I apologized for making a joke when she exposed herself in the newsroom. And you see how he's trying to make it sound creepy. You saw the stuff that they did together. There's more coming, and it's worse. It gets worse. Do you think that what I showed you was the worst stuff? No, it's going to get worse. Jack's going to tell you he wants to have sex with animals. I'm not kidding. Okay, here we go. Here's another one.
So both Anna and I got frustrated, and at one point
So they're talking about how I've been outing them for their bad journalism and their shady business practices since Forced to Vote. And they got frustrated. He's going to admit right now what they're doing. He's going to admit what they're doing right now.
So both Anna and I got frustrated, and at one point she sent him a DM that Jimmy's going to talk about in this clip that we're going to show you. And it was basically saying, look, we know all these things about you that we haven't shared before, in a way of saying, we are holding back while you're going nuts.
Yeah.
So instead of answering my accusations and my criticisms of their journalism and their shady business, instead of answering them, they go, so we decided to DM him and say, hey, we're going to smear you with this fucking thing if you keep running your mouth. That's called blackmail.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. She's not trying to save another woman from my harassment.
Right.
She's not worried about anything. It was nothing. He's admitting we finally got so upset. We're gonna slander. We're gonna hashtag me to you. That's all we got. We got nothing else. That's all we got. And by the way, Anna never told anybody about anything. The timing, very interesting. The timing on this smear.
Exactly. Jimmy, that's what I wanted to say is that, I mean, as a woman, first of all, who's worked in media for a long time, I can say that it's typical for men to make comments about your outfits, and a lot of times it's upsetting, but most of the time there's someone who's working with you in the office, and maybe you see it as a joke, and it is resolved interpersonally, unless you actually view that person as a predator, in which case I don't think Anna is actually claiming that she's not claiming that you did anything wildly inappropriate or evil to the point that she would view you as a threat or someone who should be like taken back from the left and not around women because you're going to do something. No, we never heard about any of this until you and Aaron my colleague Aaron Mate had thoroughly embarrassed, humiliated Anna and Cenk by extension in terms of actual facts, actual issues regarding foreign policy, imperial policy of the United States. And they went in way too deep. And they couldn't actually, they were like, oh, we're going to have a journalist from Syria on, and we're going to bring in the receipts. And then they were like, wait, we said that, and that's not actually what we have. We have some troll from Brooklyn who's never actually reported on this issue, and he's going to come on and say how Aaron's wrong, but it looks kind of silly. So how are we going to continue to push this narrative that Jimmy is a liar, that Jimmy is evil? And they came up with an unbased accusation smearing you as a harasser. And I think that just says everything about where they're at in terms of their argument, because that's why I tweeted today that it's like Godwin's law. Godwin's law is that if you're arguing politically with someone, it's only a matter of time before the person who's losing or someone invokes the Holocaust in order to justify their position. Because what that does is that it shuts down all debate. It shuts down all questioning. You're actually smearing your opponent as a Nazi. And what they did in this case is they were backed into a corner. They didn't have the information to follow through. And so instead of weaponizing the Holocaust or Nazism, they weaponized sexual harassment, and they weaponized Me Too because they didn't have anything else.
Like nothing.
And so they decided to internalize the whole situation. And it speaks so much to their mentality. It's not about the issues for them. It's not about feminism for them or war or anti-imperialism for them. It's about personal narcissistic trauma. And so that's why they were like, oh, Jimmy's a sexual harasser. And I just can't take it seriously because, as you already demonstrated with that segment, Anna herself is willing to play into the most obscene, sexist, anti-woman segment. I can't even imagine forming an argument about a female celebrity's vagina. And yet that's what Anna did. And fine, Jimmy, I'm sure you would have never wanted to play that clip. You would have never wanted to get down in the gutter with them on this issue if they weren't going so far as to smear you personally as a sexist. Because that's really disgusting, something that I would oppose. If you're a sexist, I wouldn't be coming on your show. But the reality is, if Anna Kasparian were genuinely opposed to sexism and opposed to misogyny, and if John Itarola, whatever his name is, the other TYT host, who I'll have more to say about later, he said sexism and misogyny have to be weeded out of the left. All right, if that's the case, then quit sharing a desk with Cenk Uygur. I was opposed when the media, or when actually Bernie Sanders rescinded his endorsement of Cenk, claiming that he was a sexist and that he was anti-Semitic. I thought that was absurd. I thought, sure, Cenk said stupid things in the past, which he's apologized for. And this is a very opportunistic weaponization of comments that he'd made in the past. By the way, on the record, he didn't just make it in passing in an office. He actually sat down and wrote on his blog that women in Miami had a genetic disorder because they weren't having sex with him. He said, I feel like I'm in a sea of tits in Miami, and yet I'm only tapping in my toe or something like that. I don't even think the metaphor was that thought out, because I'm not having sex with them. I'm in a sea of tits. All right, these people, Anna and John, they're sharing a desk with Cenk. And you and I wouldn't even want to bring up these comments. I actually think it was ridiculous when they attacked Cenk for these issues, because it's obviously not motivated by the issue itself.
Just like this.
It's motivated by something greater. And at that time, they were attacking Cenk when Bernie rescinded his endorsement, they were attacking Cenk because they thought he actually posed a threat to the liberal establishment.
Right.
And yet that's all fallen apart since that election. At the time, I was like, good, Cenk, I would love for you to be in Congress because I think you would actually speak out in defense of the people. And yet what we saw with Force the Vote is that Cenk and Anna, they're all willing to go along with the mainstream Democratic Party. They're not actually going to fight on these issues, healthcare, education.
They're not going to fight.
And so that's why I oppose them.
Yeah.
And it was false for the Democratic Party to see them as a threat because at the end of the day, they're just feeding into that narrative.
Yes. The Young Turks progressive founder urged his staff not to unionize. Let's remember that. Let's watch this.
And most of all, it's just super sad. He's a sad, weak man, and he's chasing.
Now, Cenk is saying this into a mirror. Just so you know, Cenk, who told people, hey, I put some naked pictures of a celebrity's vagina that was taken against her will up her skirt. They're at my website. Go there now. I took the blur out of it so you could see it. And I wouldn't bang her anyway.
But he would.
But of course, this is the guy trying to now pretend that he's Mr. Boy Scout.
News and attention and money.
Hang on, here we go.
And most of all, it's just super sad. He's a sad, weak man, and he's chasing views and attention and money. And when he attacks us, he gets more popularity, both from the right wing and more views, because the algorithms say, hey, that's the biggest show. You mention them, you're going to get more views.
Yep.
So he feeds into it because he's weak and he just wants it so bad. He wants to be famous and get that attention so bad.
I want it so bad, I went and took $24 million in right-wing corporate money. I want it so bad, I smeared Julian Assange to please a donor. I want it so bad, I really now do launch this ridiculous, unbelievably poorly timed smear against Jimmy Dore that everyone sees it for what it is. The guy's he's talking to himself. The guy's talking to himself. Again, this guy is Mr. Boy Scout. Here's another. There's a million of these. Amanda Condon, real talent or just big tits? That's a segment he did. Here's another one. Guess the celebrity cleavage. So they used to show cleavage, and you had to guess what the woman, which celebrity was, and they had a bunch of them. This was a segment that Anna did, not Cenk, and she had to sit there. Anna did this. That's why her and Cenk fit together so well.
Yeah.
Here's another one. World's largest breasts. Hey, big boobs equals higher tips. World Cup under boob. These are news stories. They're not doing this at their desk behind the scenes. This is what they're doing on camera.
Nice thumbnail.
Man smothered by girlfriend's large breasts. This constant. Here is loud sex interrupts tennis tournament. Underboob trend for the future? Underboob. Should Karen Knightley digitally enhance her breasts? That's what Anna wants to know. Women pick the perfect penis. There's a study. Do you have the perfect penis? These are all news segments procured by Anna Kasparian. She didn't sit on a panel. She produced them and then hosted them. There's another one. Christina Ricci underboob, new fashion trend. Here's another one. Christina Hendricks breast, real or fake? These are the segments that Anna would do herself after Cenk put naked pictures up on their website of women's vaginas photographed against their will up their skirt. Cenk would put it at TYT.com, tell people to go look at him for clicks. That's the definition of a pornographer. Here's more. Watch this.
So I don't know what this chick's name is, but I saw it independently on the internet. And I was like, oh, geez, Lord mercy. At first, I was wondering if it was Photoshopped, right? But it turns out it's not. She's real, right?
It looks Photoshopped. I mean, her arms look unbelievable.
Take a full screen on it, yeah. Oh, no. And I heard there was a debate on this. There's no debate. I'm ending the debate. I don't have my gavel with me, but I'll use my fist. 999! No way. No way.
He's saying, no way is that a woman. That's what he's saying.
Even close.
No way what? Like there's a
not
debate.
Even like I'd be worried that she was going to break something of mine during sex. And And I'm much more worried that she's going to pull out a jammy on me.
She actually doesn't. Oh, yeah, she does. Never mind. I was gonna.
She's going to pull out a German.
Oh my God.
Gets worse.
Say she doesn't look so bad in that picture, but this one.
There's an excellent chance she's a male.
No, okay, look. Here's the thing. I'm not going to go quite as far.
Look at how long her arms are.
I'm not going to go quite as far.
I can't believe they're objectified. This is all they did over at that show. That's all they did. This is all they did all the time.
I don't want to find out what's under that skirt.
Okay, just calm down.
Are we sure this isn't Photoshop? That looks like the longest arm in the world. And right there's no way I would hook up with her. I think, no way, man. I don't want to find out what's going on downstairs. How large are her hands?
She hits the gym. I don't see the crazy freakiness about it.
I see how you roll.
What is the thing? It's like, well, yeah, and I see how you roll. You're afraid of women.
That's your big hero right there that does that to women, looks up their skirt and then laughs at them.
So I want to be clear about something. I love our members, but I want to be clear about who we are and the kind of audience we want to foster, because this isn't just about building an audience, it's about building a movement. We want fighters beside us, and we want people who have the right ethics and morals to do this with us, right? If you watch that and you think there wasn't a big deal, I think that was totally fine. I don't want you in our audience. You are not part of what we're trying to do.
Nobody's in your
because
audience.
I don't want that toxicity. I don't want that culture as part of anything we do at TYT, whether it's internal in the office or external with our audience, period. That's it.
Except all the segments that I've done.
Yeah.
Those are okay. Except when we put naked pictures of women's vaginas up at our website who had their picture taken against their will up their skirt and jank to put it up at their website to get clicks. Except when we did that. Except when we did Where's the Camel Toe? To real people. Except when we did that. Here, let's see what this is.
Oopsie doopsie. That's what I gotta say.
So there was a young actress who was being blackmailed. Well, her ex-boyfriend, it's revenge porn, had taken naked pictures of her and had released them on the internet. The Young Turks showed them. No, I've blacked them out. But you watch this. So they showed the pictures. I'm not making this up. But I've blacked them out. So here we go.
That. Hey, Susie, you want to show the good people at home her smart decisions? Oh, of course, if you hadn't heard, we got this. Okay.
So they a private person. So I blacked it out. That's just a young, maybe even a teenage actress. I don't know how old she was. Very young. And they're showing the naked pic. I blacked it out. They're showing the naked picture of her. Revenge porn. And they're laughing. Wow.
It's really easy. It's really easy.
They've showed it again.
It's really easy. What you do is you don't take naked pictures of yourself and give them to your boyfriend. I don't know if you know this, okay? And for those of you at home, I'm about to do, especially if you're a guy, I'm going to do you a public service announcement here, okay? There's this thing called YouPorn, okay? And it's like YouTube, but it's got porn in it. Now, I've got nothing to do with it. I'm not associated with it. In fact, I don't condone it. I condemn it. I don't really condemn it. But it's chock full of videos of guys who put up themselves having sex with their ex-girlfriends. Okay? Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. Don't take the pictures. Be smart.
Because if you do and I get a hold of them, I'm going to share them on my show. If I get a hold of a naked picture of you that your boyfriend took and is releasing as revenge porn, Anna and I are going to show it to everybody on our news show. Okay. So here's Johnny Irola says there is no room, zero in the progressive space for misogyny, whether toxic workplace bullshit or attempts to drive female reporters, politicians, or activists out of politics by dispatching legions of right-wing trolls. She sounds like Joy Reid or Hillary Clinton. He sounds like Hillary Clinton. They're all the Bernie bro trolls. What the F? Or the trolls who hound them 24/7, dox them, and endanger their lives.
Endanger their lives,
Anya. Well, here's what you said.
Endanger their lives.
Here's what you said. You tweeted this. You go, this is like Godwin's law for neoliberal media hustlers. When they get exposed before masses of people to be pro-war political charlatans, it's only a matter of time before they change the subject and cry misogyny. That's when you know they've lost the debate. And you were responding to John Adirola, saying all that, all this stuff, pretending to be a Boy Scout again.
Yeah.
At the Howard Stern show called The Young Turks. Trying to pretend he's a Boy Scout. Well, come on. I mean, there were. And anyway, would it be wrong if you hired somebody to co-host a show with you and then you start having sex with that hire? Would that be wrong? I don't know. I wonder if that goes against. Anyway, would you ever rent a sex doll? There's Anna Kasparian 3 years ago. 200,000 views. That did very well for them. That's hard. They don't get those kind of views anymore unless they do a video about me.
No, they don't.
Unless they do a video about me or Trump.
Exactly.
Would you ever rent a sex doll? Again, that's another segment she produced. Here's another one. Would Anna Kasparian have sex with a robot? 85,000.
Oh my gosh.
85,000. There's with Johnny. There's supposed to be zero room for this kind of crap.
Zero room. No space for misogynists.
So it's just funny that she says this stuff.
Degrading, obviously, and I want my students to respect me and take me seriously.
You could start doing journalism.
Oh gosh.
How about try to do some journalism? You ever think about that? How about you show them when someone criticizes your journalism, you falsely accuse them of something? How about do that? Boy, could the timing be they admit it. How many times do they have to admit they're doing this as a retaliation for us criticizing their journalism and their bad business practices? They admit it. She sent me a blackmail DM. You better stop running your mouth. Anything. Oh, so hang on. There's one more thing here. Hang on. What is this?
Now, in one of our post-game /members only, and if you don't know, you better ask somebody. So in one of those segments, Anna and I were talking about how much power women have. Okay, so everybody first of all, get by your computer, get by a keyboard, and get ready to type out how the sexualizing the women messages. Okay?
Right.
And we might have a feminist on next week's show to talk about that issue as well. So, but we were talking about it, and both Anna and I were saying how much power women have over men, and they don't even realize it if they're willing to use it in the right ways, etc. And then we got into talk about sex, right? We're talking about sex.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
That's all they talk about. Okay.
We're talking about it, right? And I said, if you tease men the right way, they'll give you anything. And I told a quick story about how there's this Japanese girl that Dave knew, and she once wrote a message on Craigslist saying, some guy, give me a microwave. Knock on the door, next day, some guy shows up with a microwave. Free. Why? Because he was into it. He got turned on by that, or whatever. I don't know why. Because if you just ask guys for stuff, they'll give it to you, right? So we decided to do an experiment. Will that actually work in real life? Mm-hmm. I asked Anna to go to a mall, okay, and just ask a random guy to buy her shoes.
That's an assignment from her boss. Go to a mall and tease a guy, because that's what he said.
Gosh.
About tease, got to tease. If you know how to tease a guy, you can get anything. So go to a mall, tease a guy, and see if you can get a guy to buy you a pair of shoes. Tease a guy, not be. This is, and she did it.
Just buy it free for her and see what happened. Now I don't know what happened, but Anna's here to tell us. You tried it yesterday.
I tried it yesterday. I guess I kind of cheated a little bit because I was in one store trying on clothes, and I decided I'm going to try on this little denim skirt thing, you know? So as I'm going into the dressing room, I see a guy standing by there, and he's alone, and he's just looking at clothes in the guy section. I try on the...
I'm going to say, there's my mark. My boss had sent me to go tease this guy and get him to buy me stuff. Sexually tease him.
And then I come out and I'm looking all good, you know?
Right.
And
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
In the guy section. I try on the clothes and then I come out and I'm looking all good, you know?
Right.
And I ask him, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this outfit? Does it look good? And he was like, yeah, that looks really good. And I'm like, okay, that, cool. So that was the icebreaker.
Okay, time out. First of all, that's not cheating at all. That's what you gotta do. Tease the guy a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what you got to do.
I'm not.
You got to tease the guy a little bit. This is your boss.
Very
And
strange.
you pick him out of a crowd, he's having dinner with his kids, and you pull him up and say, will you buy me shoes? Yeah, obviously you have a conversation to do tease him a little bit. So far you're playing it perfect. I can't wait to see what happens. Okay.
Right. So, I put my regular clothes back on and I go to the register and I buy the clothes myself. And I'm trying to talk to him like, oh, are you here with anybody? And we're just, making small talk or whatever. And I was like, oh, do you have anything to do right now? And he was like, no, not really, just looking around the mall. And I said, hey, I'm going to go across to Macy's real quick to the shoe department. Do you want to go with me? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt this story. Okay, first off, too easy, Drill Sergeant. Way too easy. And second of all, as you tell the story, for the first time, I'm beginning to feel a little bad for the poor kid, right? Okay. So you say, all right, walk with me to the shoe store at Macy's.
Right.
This guy, okay, so you've reeled him in. You walk over there. What happens?
So we go, and I start trying on some shoes, and I found a pair that I liked, and I looked at him, and I said, do you like these? And he's like, yeah, they look good. And I was also wearing a skirt, so I tried on these really nice heels.
I wonder if it was a new skirt. I wonder.
And I started walking around in them. I'm like, you really like them? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, since you like them so much, you want to buy them for me?
Oh, I can't. No, come on. This is Class A stuff.
And I was expecting him to be like, what? Yeah, right, or something. And he was just like, well, how much are they? They were $80.
But I told you. I said you can go up to $100 easy, right? Remember?
Right.
Okay.
$80. And he's like, all right. So.
Oh, come on.
I got a new pair of shoes.
So now, did you tell the guy, hey, this was an experiment, and we were doing this for a news story, and I want to let you know on Bob. Well, let's see how they handled it.
Stanford, everybody. Look at this.
They're hot. I love them.
You know what? The shoes look good.
Yeah.
How hard was this for you? Did you have to force yourself, or were you having a good time, and did it come easily? And this guy, was he cool? Was he nice? Was he good looking?
Well, the guy was good looking.
No,
my boyfriend's going to kill me when he hears that I said that. And another thing, I kind of did it to get back at my boyfriend, just to get on his nerves. So I was enjoying it.
Oh my gosh.
Stanford. Okay. You know why? Because don't forget, the Stanford experiment was highly unethical. Okay.
I just can't believe that I didn't actually know that this was something that they discussed on air. And Anna, in her comment in response to you and her big expose of the sexual harassment and misogyny, said that there's no place for TYT. I mean, it's just end the podcast. You know what? End the podcast. I can't. Because seriously, what she just said there in these clips that you've put together just shows you how little value the Young Turks, Cenk, and Anna herself as a woman have for the female experience. I just can't imagine, again, formulating that segment. And so it is sad, honestly. I would love, as I'm sure you, Jimmy, would love, to be working with the Young Turks in order to amplify critiques of the Democratic Party, in order to call out the imperialist propaganda perpetrated by members of the Democratic Party and its affiliates in corporate media. The Young Turks, I thought, especially I'm sure you thought as an actual employee, were an ally of that fight. And what they've demonstrated in the past 5-6 months is that they're not. They actually decided to take the paycheck from Wall Street, from capital interests, and instead of challenge the Democratic Party, they want to actually work as part of it and act as the gatekeeper.
Yes.
And that's what they're doing. It's gatekeeping, classic gatekeeping.
Classic.
Saying you cannot cross this line, this red line, which is why I chose that for the name of my program, but you cannot cross a certain red line and be considered part of acceptable media, Jimmy. But worse than that, they can't actually challenge you on the issue. Like, they could easily have you on. I'm sure you or Aaron would go on and discuss why you disagree with them or why you're reporting on the Syria issue. But also, I think, honestly, this all began with Force the Vote. The Young Turks have a certain resentment that they harbor for you as someone who broke away from their corporate model and went independent and then was just speaking your own mind. They're actually upset that you've maintained viewership, that you've maintained funding from small donors. I know Aaron, my colleague, always makes this joke that there are more people in the Jimmy Dore waiting room that are actually watching the Young Turks live broadcast. And it's true. And I'm sure that's very frustrating for them. I'm sure it was very hurtful for both Cenk and Anna to be insulted by Roger Waters. Like the leading musician of an entire generation, someone that so many people look up to, someone that so many people view honestly as their god, Roger. And he tore loose against them because Roger has maintained a connection with people who are covering things such as the OPCW whistleblowers. He's maintained a connection with the Gray Zone, with Jimmy. And so I'm sure that hurt them.
Yes.
And so instead of actually challenging these issues on a point-by-point basis, they've actually gone into the gutter and accused you of being a sexual harasser when, like, nothing that you are accused of doing is even a scintilla compared to what Cenk has done on the record.
On camera. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was looking back on media reports about Cenk. And again, he actually said that there was a sea of tits in Miami and that women a disorder because they weren't having sex with him. And yet John and Anna want to claim that there's no space for misogyny. Anna actually crafted segments about the camel toe. I mean, that is demeaning to women. Not only is that demeaning to women, that is demeaning to myself. If I were doing that as a woman, talking about a camel toe, talking about like the spread vagina of a celebrity, that's just cheap gutter reporting. And honestly, Jimmy, I'm sorry that you and I have been dragged into the gutter at that level, but people are seeing through it. That's the really great thing.
Yeah, so
and it goes. I mean, I was in Syria in, I think, 2018 or 2019, I should say. And there was a meltdown, a similar meltdown in mainstream media about journalists being in Syria who weren't supporting regime change. And the reason I didn't engage with those people online is because at least I can tell you, those people, when you're in the country that's actually been targeted by sanctions, that's actually been targeted by a regime change war, same thing for Venezuela, people like Anna are very small. Nobody cares what Anna Kasparian has to say. And more frequently in the United States, nobody cares what they have to say. And so that's why they've entered into this war with you, Jimmy, is because honestly, this is the first time in years where I'm like, I actually want to watch the Young Turks. Who's their journalist from Syria? I would love to know. How to smear Jimmy and Aaron today? I'm going to turn on the Young Turks and actually watch it. Whereas before, I would have never tuned into their programming. I would have never even bothered. What? So they can talk about Kim Kardashian,
side boob, under boob.
And I'll let you take over, but there's one more point I want to make about John Itarola before we sign off.
Okay. Do you want me to, do I have to play that video?
We can, unless there's something else you want to take over and say about that. Yeah, let's watch that video.
I just wanted to play my two favorite things.
She was out having discussion with her father in LA, and as she was getting out of a car, the exact same thing happened that's happened a million times before. She wasn't wearing any underwear, and we got a little crotch shot.
All right, here's the thing, right? I suppose we'll put the crotch jump up on the Young Turks.com, right?
We're going to put the naked crotch shot taken up a woman's skirt against her will. We're going to put it up on TYT.com. Go check it out.
Jimmy, I'm so glad you described that as pornography.
That's what that is. That's
it as pornography because Cenk is actually encouraging his viewers to go to their website in order to see the uncensored photo of the vagina of a celebrity.
Yes. that was taken against her will.
That is extreme. That is extreme.
For clicks. That's why they put it up at their website, so people will go to their website. They increase their traffic.
I mean, can you imagine saying like, come to the Jimmy Dore site for an uncensored picture of a celebrity's vagina?
Let's watch him blame women for people snapping pictures up their skirt and then putting it on a website.
Block that one out there. But you have got to put on underwear. You've got to. My God, girl, you're going to dinner with your dad. And you got your cooch all exposed. That's sick. That's crazy. I can't imagine that we go to a family dinner and my sister's got a short skirt on with no underwear. And people
How would you know she didn't have any underwear? You're looking up her skirt, you pervert? How would you know that? Looking up her skirt, pervert?
Pervert.
Yes. Yes, there we go. I would take a picture of it and I'd put it up at TYT.com and I'd tell everybody to go look at it because it makes me a little money. It's my sister, but I don't care.
constantly taking shots of her at this angle, and she still has no underwear. I mean, I wouldn't allow it, man.
Right.
You know, I'm the most liberal guy in the world, and I'd be like, no, bitch, get your shit straightened out, okay? You are not to go outside the house anymore without panties on.
Right. I totally agree with you. At the same time, I want to give her credit for something.
Oh, you do?
I do. Unfortunately, we're not able to see it on YouTube, but if you go on our website, theyoungturks.com, you can see it, uncensored. And a point that I want to make about it is, for somebody who seems like she hasn't really been taking care of herself for a while, she is perfectly hairless.
Oh, that's...
I know that's an odd point to make, but I mean, could you imagine if she didn't groom herself and she didn't wear any underwear?
Whatever. Put up the censored picture here, Jesus. Okay? She looks beat. I don't care if she doesn't have any hair down there. She looks terrible. Her legs are like fatty and creamy and pale and disgusting. And then her hair is screwed up and her face looks bad. She looks so bad there that I wouldn't even do her.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
That's that.
Yeah, but there's something weird about the way her cooch looks.
It is. I know. It feels like, you know what it is? It looks like an old cooch.
It does look like an old cooch.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so there's one more thing I want to show you.
Jesus fuck.
I know.
It's off the chart. It's crazy. It's off the chart crazy.
I mean, Steph, can you imagine if Jimmy asked you to comment on the bald vagina of a celebrity?
Yeah, you know.
Well, we'll put it up at jimmydorcomedy.com. You go take a look.
About bald vagina
Yeah,
on
you go take a look.
comedy.com.
Put it up, Jimmy. Blow it up. Just so people can access it.
Yeah. Hang on.
So if you hear something from Jimmy, it is incredibly likely to be a lie, and for his own ego and his own purposes. And last thing on this is, so for some of you watching this, I say this is also distasteful,
Yes.
And you're right.
Yes.
And so guys, don't get involved in it. But we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. We didn't get involved for month after month as he lied and.
You didn't get. Well, why don't you push back against my lies then? If you say, if my criticism of your journalism and your shady business practices are lies, why wouldn't you push back against my lies? Instead, you have Anna make up a bullshit accusation that everybody sees through. So we couldn't actually push back against his lies, so we made up this thing. What? Why wouldn't you push back against my... So we decided to go full nuclear and smear him. A thing that you can't really ever defend yourself against.
No, but you can. Honestly, people see through it.
I hope so. Here's
lied and lied and lied, right? And then people said, "Well, I guess."
You mean, did I lie when did I tell people that McCarthy would come speaker if they did force the vote? You mean that kind of a lie?
Since you guys are not countering, it must be true.
Exactly.
Now that when we do counter, people say, "Oh, hey, why?"
You're not countering. You're smearing me on a totally other subject. You wanted to change the subject from your horrible reporting and your shady business deals to Jimmy Dore. And now you did it for maybe a day, but it's over now. I think these videos completely take away any credibility you have as some kind of progressive feminist. That's over. Yeah, Bernie had to he had to unendorse you, and he had to reject your endorsement. The fucking Justice Democrats fired you because of your sex harassment. This guy's got one bad thing after another. I've showed you the videos, and now his show has got a big hole in it, right? And they're sinking, right? And so, and he's admitting, right here, he's admitting that they're attacking me back because of that.
Yeah.
They're not attacking me back on the attacks I made on them. They're just making something up.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. And here it is from Forced to Vote. Attacking AOC is more of his branding exercise than anything else. That's what I was trying to do, get people to vote on Medicare for All in the middle of the pandemic. This is what they're doing to me. And she says, I'm harassing her. What's that?
It's absolutely insane, actually. And that statement Cenk made said everything about their entire operation. Because, I actually want to go back to what John said, which is that there's no room for misogyny, blah, 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 in the movement. Okay, if you're genuinely speaking out in opposition to misogyny, then you should start with Cenk and Anna.
Yes.
What they've done, of course not. Of course not, because what they have done, and I know immediately what people are going to say about me doing this segment. They're going to say I'm a woman who's giving cover to a misogynist, I'm a useful idiot, or I'm a tool.
No, that's what Anna does.
That's what Anna does for Cenk.
Yes.
For Cenk. And honestly, if I am a feminist and I'm a woman, an imperialist such as Anna is not my ally. She instead is advocating for the bombing of Syrian women. Not only that, but she's taking the side of Saudi proxy forces who've set up little mini Saudi Arabias all around Syria where women get stoned for allegations of adultery and have to cover, and they can't even listen to music, by the way. And that's the side that Anna's taken in the Syrian war, the conflict, the outright war the U.S. has waged upon it. And so we can't take her seriously in terms of her opinions on Syria. She only started covering this, by the way, because she personally has a hatred of you and Aaron.
Yes.
I mean, that's very clear. The Young Turks never covered Syria.
Ever.
They never talked about these issues until like 5 years later after these alleged incidents took place, because they were so mad. They were like pissed off. They were triggered. Jimmy, they were triggered. They were like, end the podcast. End the podcast. Because they were talking about Syria. And by extension, what this really all I think comes down to, it comes down to Russiagate, what you and Aaron did about Russiagate. Look, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of an Aaron Mate investigation because he's super thorough and he's just going to relentlessly troll you on Twitter and he's not going to let you sleep. So bravo to Aaron. I understand why Anna was driven crazy by that experience. But by extension, the fight over Forced the Vote drew similar lines between people who are willing to buy into the Democratic Party's phony logic and people such as you, Jimmy, who were calling for a floor vote, a very simple declaration. Ask for everyone to declare their position on the House and on the Senate floor. And then we can, as a movement outside of the Democratic Party, challenge them. We would love to see how AOC voted in that. And Emma Vigeland, she's another tool of the Young Turks and Sam Cedar. She said that your criticism of AOC was rooted in misogyny.
Of course.
Rooted in misogyny.
Healthcare is misogyny. Healthcare is misogyny.
Yeah, exactly. Healthcare is misogyny. I mean, as a woman, I can say that what Anna and Emma are declaring before their audiences on Twitter, it speaks to a real disdain for women, and it especially speaks for a real disdain of working people.
Yes.
Because boiled the entire argument down to a conflict between personal characters.
Yes.
It's you versus Cenk. It's you versus Anna, and you are a sexist. Look, remove all of those filters, and what this comes down to at the end of the day is a conflict between people who are actually speaking for 80% or more of the U.S. public, people who want health care, women who want health care and probably aren't offended by what like Jimmy said in your office one day, but actually would be offended by you publishing the bald picture of a vagina of a celebrity. Like, that's a little bit extreme, but that's what you as the Young Turks were willing to do. Average people are offended by that kind of shit, but they're not offended by people actually saying, which side do you stand for? Do you stand for us, the people who have medical disabilities, who are trying to get treatment, people who don't have health care and would love, and again, Cenk himself, he was denounced by Bernie Sanders after Bernie endorsed him.
Yeah, he had to unendorse him, and Bernie had to reject it.
They're attacking you now, Jimmy.
They're using the same shit to try to smear me. He learned it firsthand.
Yeah, Cenk, you know.
Yeah.
You know that this is phony.
Of course, but that's all they got. They have nothing. Believe me, they would. If they had anything, they would have put it in that video. They have nothing except this made up shit by Anna. And here she is attacking me on Forced to Vote, right? She goes, attacking AOC is more of his branding exercise than anything else. With that said, pressuring politicians to actually represent us is the right thing to do. So I'm doing the right thing, and she's still attacking me. I just question his intentions, and for good reason.
No,
she does, but gives you no reason. She just a ad hominem smear. When I decide to try to get us healthcare vote, all of a sudden she wants to slander me. So that was when I was like, okay, well the gloves are off with me and Anna. And then Jen came after me, and I was like, all right, you guys, I don't think you know what you just did. Because I've got the receipts. I know you smeared Julian Assange, and somehow nobody else saw that video. I'm going to make sure everybody sees that video, and they did. I'm going to make sure everybody knows about your bad Syria reporting, and they do now. And so to retaliate against me, they have to do this frickin' smear. It's comical to me. I don't have a manager. I don't have a supervisor. Everybody sees that this is a garbage attack, that you guys are ginning up. The timing is very suspicious. And I'm sorry Anna exposed herself in the newsroom that day, and I made that joke that I already apologized to her for, and she accepted. So that's over. Yeah. Now you're weaponizing that because I'm criticizing your journalism, and everybody sees it.
Absolutely. I mean, using the term journalism is a very loose definition.
Yes.
If you're applying a very loose definition.
There she is. She loves murderers. She's a mass murderer, war criminal. She admitted, Madeleine Albright admitted to killing 500,000 Iraqi kids, and she said it was worth it. And Anna said, it's a great pleasure to meet you. It's an honor.
Well, if you can pull up, I made a tweet in reference to that. I said that Anna is the human equivalent of an F-35 warplane flying over Syria to bomb Syrian civilians with Me Too plastered on the side of it.
Yes.
And so that was just a point that I made on Twitter. But there's one more, while I'm here, one more point that I would like to make about John.
Here, let me get to it. Oh, by the way, there actually is a sexual harasser over at the Young Turks. They gave a show to this guy, Josh Fox.
Josh Fox.
Josh Fox loses radio. He's been taking money from the Rockefellers, and now he's got caught. Josh Fox loses radio program after being exposed for abusive behavior and profiting off indigenous activists. He got banned from the WBAI studio. My show was on WBAI for 12 years. I never got banned from the studios. He did before his show even got on there. Josh Fox, an acclaimed documentary producer who promotes environment, has lost his New York radio show opportunity after the program director looked into his history of what is being described as a pattern of abusive behavior towards the staff and other organizers. The ousting occurred after nearly 24 host, producer, and activists, many of who were on the show Revolutions Per Minute, wrote an open letter asking that they recognize his abusive behavior and remove himself from the station's environment. This isn't the only instance where activists have cited concerns over Josh Fox's behavior either. And then the Young Turks gave that guy a show. He has a show on their network. So if you're worried, again, if you're really worried about sexual harassers, wouldn't you be trying to warn people about Josh Fox? And wouldn't you be trying to warn people about me? But that never even came... That never even, or Jake, but that never even came out of her mouth. The reason I'm doing this is to protect other women. I want to warn them that's that's because Jimmy's been coming at us, and now we have to hit him back. That's the only reason. And because they got a sexual harasser on their network right now, Josh Fox, banned from WBAI Studios. Here's my final thing I want to. So this is, again, these are the people who are zero. There is zero. Here we go.
Here comes the controversial part, the part I shouldn't say. I believe that if I were the benevolent dictator of the world, I would legalize bestiality where you are giving, where you are pleasuring the animal. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Okay. Now why? Why did that happen? It's the dumbest thing I've said.
It really is the dumbest thing you said.
No, I'll tell you why. Because there's was the case that we covered where there was like a guy or a girl or something that was pleasuring a horse, and the horse came to a conclusion, right? So who got harmed? I mean, if you really ask the horse, did you mind? The answer's got to be no. Do you see what I'm saying? No.
This is such an awkward conversation.
It is. All right, I'm going to leave it be. Okay.
Okay. There you go. I just wanted to show you that. Did you ever see that, Anya?
No.
That's awesome.
I hadn't seen it, and to Anna's credit, she was stunned by the misogyny and the anti-woman commentary of her co-host, Jank. And yet, she has remained on air with him after all these years and is trying to smear you as a misogynist.
Yes.
Even though nothing that she claims you ever said is... It's like Jenga. It's like you're the bottom level of Jenga, and what Jenk has said is way up here. And if you pull out a criticism, it all comes tumbling down.
Yes.
Nothing that you say is on the level. And people are criticizing you for the fact that you came forward first and explained what happened. You knew because she blackmailed you through this Twitter DM that she was going to go public with something that happened between the two of you personally when you were friends.
Yeah.
And so you got ahead of it and you gave your side of the story. And I think that's the responsible thing to do.
Of course it is.
Because nobody else can comment on it. I can't comment on it. You can comment on it. And you said what happened. And she was not able to let go, and she's continuing to smear you as a misogynist while sharing the desk with someone such as Jank, someone who said that, that he wouldn't fuck a woman, a celebrity, because of her vagina. Like, I don't even know. Her vagina was unappealing to him.
Yes.
After an entire segment where she was saying that the vagina was bald. It's all super weird. It's all the kind of thing that you and I wouldn't actually waste our time on talking about if they hadn't already brought it into the mainstream. That fits into the pattern.
Yes.
By the Young Turks, which Anna herself engaged with when she went onto the Munich Security Conference to interview Madeleine Albright. And then they have the gall to criticize you or criticize Aaron. They say that you're Syrian government funded. They say that you're a misogynist. Well, here's the deal. If you are a woman who's interviewing Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State who actually claimed that it was worth it to kill over 100,000 Iraqi children with sanctions, you're carrying out an imperial legacy which continues today in Venezuela, which John Idarola gave space for in this brainless interview, like worshiping this woman as the Joan of Arc of Venezuela. And these are the people who are actually starving children, starving women, supporting right-wing forces around the world, in Venezuela, in Syria. And that's why at the end of the day, all they have to counter you, Jimmy, it's so telling that they've resorted to these allegations of sexual harassment.
It's very telling.
It's very telling.
Well, Anya, listen, I really appreciate you coming on and lending your expertise and your insight as a woman. I appreciate that, and I appreciate what's that?
As a woman.
As a woman.
Pull that card because they all pull that card, and they honestly cheapen that card when they pull it in order to perpetuate imperialist and capitalist arguments. They get to say, I'm a woman, he's a sexual harasser, he's this and he's that. Everybody sees through it, honey. And I see through it as a woman. As a woman. I'm pulling up the card right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody should check out. And now, Red Lines is your show. There it is.
Yes, as Joe Biden recently said, he was going to draw red lines against Putin. That's the headline I saw on CNN, and so that's why I chose Red Lines as the name, because it's something that they often invoke in order to perpetuate imperialist policy.
Well, everybody check out Red Lines and check out the Gray Zone, and I really appreciate you making yourself available, and I'd love to have you back on sometime soon.
Thank you, Jimmy, and just keep it up. All that any of us can do is continue to throw punches against these people. If the Young Turks decide that they're the ones who want to throw punches back, it's at their detriment because people see through it and they're on our side.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you very much. Anya Permpel. Thank you. Red Lines, everybody check it out. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.